This conference will now be recorded.
There we go, the teaching portion of today's class. So I want to talk with you about client communication skills 101. How you talk to people and what you talk about means everything. I remember when I was in 5th grade, my older sister got a job as a candy striper in a hospital. Anybody remember what a candy striper was? They were volunteers, young, typically female teenagers who went in and volunteered at the hospital. And part of her job was to cheer up the patients. But as part of her training, they told her, there are 2 things you cannot talk about. What were those 2 things? Politics and religion. Don't talk about death. Politics and religion. What does almost everybody want to talk about all the time? At least politics. Yes, at least one of the 2. Henry Higgins, in that famous musical My Fair Lady, gave the famous advice that the only 2 things that you should talk about, the only 2 safe subjects to talk about, are health and the weather. Can we talk about health these days? Social distancing, masks, hunker down. We risk starting a fight every time we talk about health issues these days. And when it comes to the weather, well, if everything else hadn't pushed it off the agenda, climate change was at the top of the list, and that would start a fight. So we can't talk about health, the weather, religion, politics. What does that leave us? Where does that leave us? That's an important question for real estate agents, because as I mentioned in my email to all of you last night, we make our living with our what? Corey read my email. God bless you. We make our living with our mouth. We speak. If we were surgeons, we would make our living with our hands. If we were ballet dancers, we'd make our living with our feet. But as real estate sales professionals, we make our living with our mouth. What we say and how we say it and when we say it makes all the difference. The top producing real estate agents, they do things differently with the time allotted to their real estate career. They typically engage in more dollar productive activities than the average real estate agent does. But part of what they're doing in those more productive activities is they're using a different dialogue. They're directing conversations down a different path. They're setting a different emotional tone with their clients. And as a result, they are trusted more than the average agent. The biggest key to your success in real estate, apart from activity, is whether or not prospects and clients trust you. If they trust you, they'll take your advice on what home they should make an offer on, what they should make the offer on, how they should negotiate repairs and appraisals and things like that. If they don't trust you, you're going to have a very tough slog in this business. But how do you build trust? With your mouth. The things that you say, when you say them, and how you say them. So if you want to get to the top in this business, or if you just want to get out of where you're stuck and just get to the next level of where that is, it will serve you well to focus on honing your communication skills. So I'm going to share with you 5 core beliefs. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on each one of these, but let me introduce them to you. And these are the beliefs which will drive a commitment to improving your communication skills to the point of breaking through to the next level. Number 1, I want you to believe this. So I've phrased this in the first person. I am in the communication business. The quality of my service and the quantity of people I serve will directly correlate to my skill as a communicator. You believe that? If you don't, I'm going to work on you. So it's coming. Number 2, the art of asking great questions and then listening empathetically to the response. is the most valuable skill I can develop in life and business. 3, what people want most desperately from me is to hear them and understand them. Number 4, I am responsible for every breakdown in understanding or communication. Ouch. Well, that one hurt, didn't it? Y'all were with me till I got to number 4. It's all right. We're going to go deeper on it. And then number 5, conflict arises when expectations differ. All right, so let's get into this one. I'm in the communication business. The quality of my service and the quantity of people I serve will directly correlate to my skill as a communicator. Why is it that some people have Ricky Carruth style results when calling FSBOs, expireds, and circle calls around new listings, and other people do it for an hour and say, never again? Never again. What's the difference? They can't see you. They don't know you. Why can some people build $1 million business on the phone and others crash and burn? It's what they say and how they say it. It's that simple. It cannot be anything else. There is no other relationship. There's no other context. Your lead generation skills rise or fall on your communication skills. Client servicing, taking care of your clients, keeping your clients happy has to do with how well and how frequently you communicate. In the email I sent out last night, I said that 90% of the complaint calls I get about agents could have never happened. The complaint would never have arisen had the agent given more attention to communicating, keeping in touch, returning the phone calls, keeping the clients updated, staying in the flow of conversation. Negotiations. Here we're touching on not just your communication skills with your client, but now also with the cooperating agent. Now, it's been a long time since I taught this class. Does anybody remember the name that I gave to the class that I teach on negotiations? I don't expect you to. Oh, Bob, that's high level. Put a little sugar with it. That's the title of the class. In negotiating with another agent, you always want to be positive, complimentary to them, to the property, to the sellers. You all, because you're asking for something, right? They're going to be giving up money. They're going to be giving up time. They're going to be buying stuff for your buyers, you know, or vice versa. You're asking the buyer to come to the table with more money. So always put some sugar with it. I thought about, in fact, the original title of this class was Put Some Honey with It. Couldn't have the same name, but it's the same concept. In your communication with your clients, you need to always be putting some honey with it. Make it sweet. Always be, it's hard to be mad at somebody who likes you so much, right? Somebody who's kind to you, somebody who's complimentary to you. Even if you get mad at them, you can't stay mad at them. If they walk in that different spirit, you know, your client's coming at you with teeth and claws, and you're being humble and apologetic and focused on making things right, they can't stay mad at you. Conflict resolution and vendor coordination, all of these things impact the quality and quantity of your business. Number 2, the art of asking great questions and then listening empathetically to the response is the most valuable skill I can develop in life and business. Okay, I put in life first because, you know, some of y'all gone through the dating process before. Some of y'all gotten married. Some of y'all are trying to stay married. The art of asking great questions and then shutting your mouth, talking to the guys now, and listening empathetically, okay, is the most valuable skill you can learn. It shows that you care about them. You know the old expression, people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. It's true. There's a reason that saying has survived. It will enable you to understand their deepest and truest motivations and fears because now you're getting below the surface. You asked a great question, you shut up and you're listening. And then you can even go a little bit deeper and ask some follow-up questions to find out what's really driving them. It will diffuse any suspicions that you are acting in your own self-interest. If you just try to bulldoze a client, oh, you said a 3-2? Oh, I know where the best 3-2 homes are located. Oh, great school over here. In fact, I know the principal. I even raised my kids in this neighborhood. Come on. Okay? Did you stop to listen? Do you really care? No, they're going to suspect maybe that you got a listing over there. Maybe you got a pocket listing. Maybe it's your best friend who's selling the house. You have other priorities than their best interests. So asking great questions and listening empathetically. Number 3, what people want most desperately from me is to hear them and understand them. This is in your words. They don't want to be convinced. Why are people afraid to go on a used car lot? They don't want to be strong-armed. They don't want to be sold. They don't want to be pressured. They don't want to be lectured. They don't want to be bullied. They don't want to be bored by your story. And I'm the story guy. I'm the guy who tells you to write out your letter from the heart. Okay? But I've already told you honestly, the only people who are ever going to read that are somebody who's looking to hire a real estate agent. Most people aren't. When somebody says to you, or Ari, let's pretend like you and I are in a conversation, and I can tell that you're down, and I say, hey man, what's going on? And you say, well, you know, my mom was just in a car accident. She broke her leg. She's in the hospital. I'm just really, really concerned about her. And I immediately pounce and say, you know what? I was in a car accident 4 years ago, and I broke my leg. And let me tell you, I was in the hospital for 6 weeks, and then my pastor didn't come to see me, and I was so mad at him, and I wrote a letter to the, what am I doing? I've just hijacked his whole experience, his whole story, and I use that as a springboard to make it all about me. Okay, that is not what people want. People want desperately for you to hear them and to understand them. By the way, would that have any applicability to the bigger picture of what's going on in our country today? I heard a statistic this week. I was watching a TED Talk on communication. It was a recent one. And the speaker cited this statistic. It was by Pew Research, that literally our nation is more divided now than ever in our history. It's not that it just feels that way. It really is. It can be statistically proven that we're more polarized than ever before. So there's very little communication going on between left and right, conservative and liberal. It's all just yelling at each other. Everybody's trying to push their opinion. People are not pausing to ask and listen empathetically. And by the way, if you didn't know this, people don't really want to change their opinion about things. Have you ever posted anything controversial on Facebook and had, oh, I wasn't finished. I know you've done that. And then had somebody respond, oh, thank you, Denise. I never thought about it from that perspective. I think I'm going to vote differently next time. Has that ever happened in history? No, people are not anxious to change their opinion about things. And but they want you to hear. They want you to hear their opinion. They want you to understand how they came to that opinion. And in the real estate business, that could relate to a school district. It could relate to why they don't want to live on a corner lot. Maybe there was some traumatic experience from their childhood involving corner lots. You know, we don't know. But we have to ask these questions and listen. People want somebody who will listen to them and validate their perspective, even if we don't agree with them. Even if we can't truly understand why they see things that way. You know, hey, Corey, I appreciate you sharing that with me. I can totally understand now where you're coming from. Let's take that into consideration as we move forward, okay? Just to hear and to validate. We don't have to agree. We may think corner lots are the best thing since sliced bread. We may have raised our kids in the Conroe ISD, and we can't imagine anybody would want to be anywhere else, okay? Our opinion doesn't matter, okay? And by the way, this is off subject just a tiny bit. When you're showing homes and you walk in and you see the purple wall and the green shag carpeting, bite your tongue. Because what you think is completely irrelevant. And I got to tell you, this has saved me so many times, because I'll walk in, I'm like, "Ugh!" And then they'll start talking about, oh, this is perfect. I love these chopped up rooms. I like the fact that there's no light in this living room. I mean, people are weird and they see things differently. Yes, Bob?
This is a real quick story. When I was a brand new agent and I was showing the house, we were on the landing on the second floor. There was 7 different floor coverings from
Yes.
this house we we're looking at, and I started making fun of this, and she goes, really like this floor.
Yeah, right.
And that was when I learned.
That's learned it.
I had no opinion.
Who would think? Yeah, I love going to a different room and there's a different floor covering in every one. It just keeps it interesting. Obviously, it was an artiste who lived here before, but people just have a different perspective. Number 4. Oh, Stephen Covey quote, seek first to understand and then to be understood. Actually, if you do the first part, you don't need to worry about the second. Just seek to understand. Number 4, I'm responsible for every breakdown in misunderstanding or communication. And I realize I'm pushing you right here. So just stay with me. Keep an open mind for a moment. If you find yourself defending your words and actions, stop right there. You have already lost. If you're defending yourself, you're just making things worse, because the person that you're in conflict with doesn't care. They've already reached their opinion and made a decision about your guilt or innocence. And you defending yourself is just distancing yourself from where they're at. And bear with me, even if you did everything right, something went wrong, or there wouldn't be a conflict. And your job is to understand why and take responsibility to move things in a positive direction. That's what a professional does, by the way. An amateur says, oh, you want to fight? Bring it on. Because guess what? I've documented every conversation we ever had, right? I got the notes. I got the email history. I even recorded all those voicemails. I got them in a file, okay? You lost. You just lost, okay? I'm not opposed to documentation. We're going to talk about that in a moment, okay? But I'm saying it's the attitude. If you insist on being right, you are wrong by definition. Completely wrong. You might be right on the facts. It is possible to be right on the facts and wrong in the situation, wrong in the relationship, wrong in the truth. So don't just think because your facts are all lined up and you checked all the boxes that all is well. If your client is upset, all is not well. And part of what I'm trying to do today is keep you in positive relationships with your clients so you can get to the closing table and then get repeat and referral business after that, rather than burning bridges because of the communication that takes place. If you insist on defending yourself, you are guilty. Okay, so now I'm gonna address it, because I know. How can that be possible? How can that be true? Because I did everything all right, I did everything right, and my client was a jerk. Is that ever true? Oh, yes. And people are getting weirder and weirder, okay? So I've heard agents say things like this: doesn't the client have a responsibility to read my emails, listen to my instructions, and fulfill their responsibilities? Don't they have a part in this? Agents will say, I told them a dozen times in a dozen different ways what needed to happen, and they didn't do it. Finally, this is what I hear: just look at this detailed chronology showing that I did all the right things, okay? Would you agree with me that none of that matters? If you're in conflict with your client, the goal is not to prove that you're right. Well, I could say this about any relationship, isn't it? The goal is to restore the relationship and get the relationship back on track. So here we go, a little bit deeper still. The difference between blame and responsibility, and obviously I'm coming down on the side of being responsible agents, not just correct agents or right agents, but being responsible. Blame says I did all the right things, so it must be their fault. Responsibility says something went wrong. Okay, I'm going to figure out what it is, and I'm going to do what I can to fix it. Something went wrong. Even if I did everything right, something went wrong. Blame says the client didn't listen to me. Responsibility says I didn't communicate effectively. I said the right words. I said the same words that have worked with my last 10 clients. But I didn't pause. I didn't ask the right question. I didn't listen empathetically. I didn't realize this client is different than my last 10. And then adjust my communication accordingly. That's what responsibility says. Blame says the client didn't do what they were supposed to do. Responsibility says I didn't make sure they understood the consequences of failing to act. That's ultimately our job. When people hire us, they're hiring us as a consultant. And what a consultant does is identify the decision options and clarify the consequences of each one. Yes, dear Mrs. Seller, we can come in $50,000 over market price. We can do that. If you want me to list your home $50,000 over market value, I'm happy to do that because you're the decision maker. But let me explain to you what's going to happen when we list 50,000 over market, and you clarify the consequences. And then you say, now, if we come in at market, this is what's going to happen. If we come in below market, this is what's going to happen. And then you let them decide. Blame says my client is fill in the blank: demanding, impatient, uncooperative, unreasonable, dishonest. My client's a liar. Okay, is that true? Could that be factually true? Yes. But here's what responsibility says: I chose to be in a relationship with that person. I'm taking responsibility because there's millions and millions of clients out there in the world, and I chose to work with this one. Okay, so who is responsible for things going cattywampus? When you cannot change another person. You can't force them to be a certain way. The only person you can change is yourself. So taking responsibility is actually the path to freedom. Because if you recognize I had a part in this, even if I thought I was doing the right thing, said the right thing, had the right attitude, used all my skills, something went wrong, I need to figure out where the breakdown was on my part. And ultimately, if they're just completely goofball, unethical, unreasonable, demanding, rude people, then it will go right back to our initial decision to enter into a relationship with them. So now I need to improve my onboarding skills for new clients. I need to have a deeper conversation at the beginning. I need to ask about their past relationships with realtors. I need to know, how did it go last time you sold a home? How did it go the last time you purchased a home? Tell me about your best experience with a realtor. Tell me about the worst experience you've ever had with a realtor. I need to go deeper on my onboard skills, on my vetting process for new clients, if that's what it comes to. Responsibility gives you freedom because it enables you to focus on the thing that you can change. Well, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I'm just going to make sure you understood what I just said. Who is responsible for ensuring that the client understands the situation? You have three options. The client is 100% responsible. How about agent and client share 50-50 responsibility? There's two people. I got a hand. Anybody else? Got one. Who says the agent's 100% responsible? There you go. That's where I'm going to land. Now, Deborah, if I was teaching a class of clients, you know what I'd be telling them? They are 100% responsible for making sure they understood, right? You can never delegate responsibility. That is a principle of life. If you're involved in it, at any level, you are 100% responsible, okay? So it's your job as the professional, because it's just you. You're the only person you can control. You're 100% responsible. So core beliefs number 5. Conflict arises when expectations differ. Now look at these 2 little memes I found. Look at the top one. The secret of happiness is low expectations, right? That's kind of in line with this. Conflict arises when expectations differ. Hey, I didn't expect much. I thought I was going to get bad service at that restaurant, and I did. Can't be upset about it. That's what I expected, right? But look at the next one. High expectations are the key to everything. Okay? I would say the answer lies in between those 2. It's not low, it's not high, it's mutual. Where we need to get to is mutual expectations of each other with our clients. And whether our expectations of each other are low or high, as long as they are the same, we're going to be fine. Think about that in terms of communication. What if you plan to provide an update to your seller every Monday? We had our weekend showings, we had our open house. I'm going to call them every Monday and give them an update. Is that a good frequency of communication? How do you know? Did you ask the client? You see my point? Maybe they wanted a Friday and a Monday. Maybe they wanted a daily. Maybe they don't want to hear from you until you get a contract. You have to have the conversation about expectations, because your Monday call, which was thrilling to your last 3 sellers, may be completely unacceptable to your 4th. So you have a conversation about frequency of communication, mode of communication. Some people like to talk on the phone. Some people like to text. Some people prefer an email. Would it be worth having a conversation with your client to see what they prefer? I got a phone call from an agent 2 weeks ago, not an Abby agent. He's with another company, but he called to tell me about this new listing. He's hoping I'll promote it within our company, so y'all will all go out there and take your clients and sell his listing. What caught my attention in that conversation was he said, yeah, I'm calling you and I'm calling the Kink team, and he rattled off 4 or 5 well-known agents in this area, and having long conversations with every one of you because I'm a phone guy. I like to talk on the phone. Well, guess what? I'm not a phone guy. Okay, if you need to talk to me on the phone, I'll take all the time we need to talk on the phone. But I would prefer text, quick email. If we're just sharing facts, here's information, here's update, let's do that, because I can do that on the fly. I can see that and respond to that if I'm in a meeting. If I'm at dinner with my wife, I can still respond to that. See, stay on top of things. But have this conversation. Some people are phone people, some are text, some are email. Time frames and deadlines throughout the whole process, buyer or seller side. Possible snags and snafus. Wouldn't it be helpful to inform your seller up front that we might have an appraisal issue with this contract, rather than have the appraisal come in $20,000 low? This is the first time your seller hears about the consequences of that scenario. So you prep them up front. You set expectations up front about how this transaction is going to go, what could happen. One of the things that I teach in our listing conversion and buyer conversion classes is the my job and your job list. And I have some basics already pre-filled in there, but then there's blank lines where you can say, hey, Mr. Client Bob, is there anything that I should know that you expect of me in this transaction? Yeah, I hate open houses. Don't ever hold an open house in my house. Okay, is that good for the agent to know? Okay, yeah, good to know. Don't call me after 9 p.m. I got kids, they go to bed. When they go to bed, I go to bed. Don't wake me up. Okay. So just have this mutual expectations conversation about my job, what you can expect me to do, and your job, what I can expect you to do. Okay, so those are kind of the 5 core beliefs. If we stopped right there, your business is going to be in a much better place. But I want to fly through some more details. Fly through. Oh, you got it, Michelle. You got it. Thank you. I promise we will not have B's in every class going forward, but it's our first one back. He's a happy bee. So be personal. What I'm going to share with you, these are actual actionable practices you can implement in your business to put some honey with it, to keep your client positive and happy to the extent it depends on you. So first of all, answer your phone with your name. Hi, this is Frank. How may I help you? Let them know. Okay, hi, this is Frank. Or if they're already in your phone and you see that you know them, answer the phone. Oh, hey, Dacry, how's it going? Okay. What is the sweetest sound on earth? Somebody's name, their own name. So use that. In texts and email messages, use their name when you initiate the conversation. Hey, Joe, just wanted to let you know. Don't just start, just wanted to let you know. You can do that. It's factual communication, but I'm saying keep it personal. If you can build a personal relationship, bordering on friendship, moving towards something that looks like friendship, things are going to go much better. Because when things go south, if their only relationship with you is a factual, logical business relationship, you are replaceable. They got lots of other options. But if there's an emotional attachment beginning to take place, that's a little harder to pull away from. And what we're trying to do is create real sticky relationships. So be personal. Second, be empathetic. Keep in mind, your clients are not real estate agents. They don't know the things that you do. We do this every day. They don't. We're confident we know how this is going to go. They're stressed out. They don't understand the process. We know what's going on. They don't. We know what to expect. They don't. We understand the importance of timelines and deadlines, getting that earnest money check delivered, getting that option fee delivered, getting our financing approval within the approval. We understand the importance of those things. They don't. So we need to be empathetic with them and not demanding, bullying, pushing, or impatient. We do this during our work hours. Most of them are trying to get all this stuff done related to the transaction after work. They've worked all day. It's the evening. They're tired. They got to get dinner cooked and cleaned and take care of the kids, spend some time with their spouse. It's stressful for them. We get happy when we get a new transaction. We know closing day's coming. We can just hang in here 4 to 6 weeks. For them, it's stressful. Even buyers, they have a party when they find their house and they envision themselves living in it. They don't realize, but between finding it and closing, there's going to be a lot of hurdles to jump, and the stress level will rise. They're also spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on this transaction, and we aren't. It's their money they're investing. We just need to understand that. Be patient with them. Be empathetic with the stresses they may have that we don't. I love this Amish proverb. Instead of putting others in their place, put yourself in their place. Instead of putting them in their place, put yourself in their place. Okay, that was the old expression. Don't criticize a man or a woman until you walked a mile in their moccasins. Okay, get in their place. Be an active listener. How many of y'all have heard these sales techniques? Mirroring, pacing, rephrasing. I say forget all that. Those are primarily strategies to give the impression that you are listening. You know what's far better? To listen. To actually listen. And if you do, guess what? You're going to find yourself mirroring and pacing and clarifying and rephrasing, because that's what people do when they have an actual conversation. So just listen, just be there in the conversation. Don't finish their sentences because you think you know where this is going. Don't presume to know what they're trying to tell you. Sit back and let them tell you. This will pay off at home as well. Okay, don't presume just because you live together that you know everything that person thinks and says. Give them a chance to talk. Don't interrupt or start telling your own stories. And then, once they've done that, go deeper. So when your last agent never even sent you the comps, so you didn't get a chance to review them, and while waiting, the home sold to somebody else, how did you feel about that? What impact did that have on your family? Did that create any residual issues that have put you in the position where you are now? Go a little deeper, okay? Ask some follow-up questions. Is there anything else you want me to know? Is there anything else that's important to you? Open-ended questions where they can take it any direction that they want. Number 4, be clear. Avoid abbreviations. Okay, pop quiz. What is PMI? What does that mean? I should call out individuals, shouldn't I? Because the group will know this. The group would know that. Marisol, you ready? PITI. Okay, let's see. David, MUD. Municipal Utility District. DD 214. Ari? Ooh, I didn't think you would get that. Yeah, your DD 214 is your service record, and it will often indicate your eligibility for a VA loan. Yes, if you were honorably discharged. Okay, very good. WDI, Trina. WDI. Oh, okay, there you go. AKA termites. Termites. Okay, Udi, REO.
It's property, I can tell you.
Yeah, tell us what it is.
It's property that is on the market for investment purposes.
It's an REO, stands for real estate owned, and it refers to properties that have been taken back in foreclosure by a lending institution. So it's owned by typically a bank or a mortgage company, and when the time is right, they'll put it on the market. But because it's owned by a bank or an investment company or mortgage, it's called an REO. By the way, we got like a 98% on that quiz. How come we did so well? This is we're smart, we're Abby agents. Even our brand new Abby agent got the hardest one of the day, okay? Our clients have no idea. Great trainer. Ooh, that's the best answer, Bob. Bonus points. So avoid that. Don't just let these things roll out of your mouth. You know, the mud. Well, no, what in the world? What is it? I know what mud is, but how does that? What in the world does that got to do with this transaction? Okay. Avoid jargon. Now we have to use real estate jargon, professional terms. We have to, but please don't use these terms unless you explain them. Use it as part of your conversation. Clear title, comps, encroachment, encumbrance, equity, escrow, market value. Market value seems so second nature to us. It's the value the market places on it. Our clients do not understand that unless it's explained to them. Pending, what in the world does that mean? Points, staging, option period. If you come from somewhere outside of Texas, you never heard of an option period. Cloud. Oh, somebody help us. Lorena, what is a cloud in our business? Any idea? Oh, well done. It's exactly what it is. A cloud on title. is an issue with the title that will prevent it from being passed to another person until it's cleared up. So it could be an encroachment, an encumbrance, a lien placed upon the property, something like that, that has to be resolved. Send email summaries. Most of our clients are going to want to talk to us either face to face or on the phone while we're developing the relationship and finding the property. We're building our rapport. But I would encourage you, after you have a conversation, send an email summary. Hey, Bob, it was great to talk to you on the phone. We mentioned getting together this Saturday at 10 o'clock to go look at your 5 or 6 favorite homes. I'll be sending you some homes to preview every day this week that new ones come on the market to choose from, and then we'll put together our showing list on Friday night. Okay? Man, I just summarized a 15-minute conversation, but I put it in the email, and now expectations are very clear. There's agreement on what we talked about. And then if you have to send a long email, and sometimes we do, bullet point it, break it down into chunks. In the emails that I send you, sometimes they get to be a little lengthy. None of y'all have ever said that. They just seem to go by so quickly for you. But I know they're long. And so I will sometimes, I'll bullet point, I'll put numbers, I'll highlight, I'll underline or bold, I'll do those things so that if you're just skimming, not that any of you ever would, you can catch the subject of each of those paragraphs, and then if something is of particular interest, you can zero in on it. Do that for your clients. Be positive. Clients are going to take their emotional cues from you. If you're upset, they're going to be upset. If you're worried, they're going to be worried. If you're lost, I don't know what to do. Oh my goodness, it's going to hit the fan. You must inspire confidence at all times, even when you don't have a clue. Okay? Oh, no problem. You know what? I got a broker with years of experience. I have a mentor. I have a coach. Let me go chat with them about this. I am certain that we can find a way forward that's going to get you where you want to go. That's the positivity. You're not lying about your knowledge or experience or how we're going to do this, but in any situation, you know what? It's going to be all right. And they will take, if you are not flipping out, they won't flip out. They'll take their emotional cues from you. So even if you're having to share bad news, hey, takes a 720 credit score to get the loan product that you wanted. We just got your results. Your mid score is a 680. So we're quite a ways away from getting that. But hey, I've been here before with a bunch of other clients. This is not an unusual situation. In fact, my lender has got a credit boosting service that can typically pick up 40 points in just about 6 or 8 weeks. So I'm going to connect you with my lender, and we're going to see what we can do. I took a terrible situation and flipped it to there is a way forward. It may be a little bit of a delay, may take a little bit of work on your part, but we're going to get where you want to go. Always be positive, especially if you have to share bad news. Okay? Turn it to the positive. Michelle, I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't see all the details of your face. But you're scrunching. I'm trying to, is there something you wanted to say? No. Okay. All right. Think about it, because I'll call on you in a minute. Okay. All right. 6, be respectful. You are the professional. Your client is not. And they are not always kind. They can be rude, unprofessional, unreasonable, demanding. They can think they know everything. Oh, if you get a lawyer, lawyers think they know everything about every piece of the law, and most of them are just completely ignorant when it comes to real estate law. They don't know anything, and they think they know everything, and dealing with them can be extremely difficult. But what I want to say is, that is never an excuse for you to respond in kind. You always have to be respectful in your conversation with them. This was in politics recently. When they go low, you go high, okay? You stay high. You're always high. You're always the professional. Now, it may be that you need to end the relationship. Okay, that happens. I can't deal with this person. I don't want to deal with this person. This person is a distraction to my business. I'm going to move on. It's actually very liberating when you fire somebody like that. Okay, it really marks a step in your evolution as a real estate agent. But while you're in the relationship, you must continue to serve them and be the professional. And I'm just going to share one quick story along this line. When I first moved to Florida, I was the director of broker services for RE/MAX of Florida and the Carolinas. We had 500 real estate offices, 10,000 agents. And I started on this goodwill tour, visiting the biggest brokers in those 3 states, just forming a relationship, finding out how I can serve them. And I'll never forget my meeting with Dick Gruber, RE/MAX Realty in Clearwater, Florida. He invited me into his office. He was very friendly. As soon as we sat down, I don't think I said another word for 30 minutes. He unleashed on me. I think this is an actual photograph of that conversation. Yeah, a long time ago. He blew it all off in that conversation. I mean, the F word was used like every other sentence, and he had been so abused by the RE/MAX organization and charged him all this money and didn't give him any value in return, and he'd spent millions of dollars, and none of the my predecessor and the predecessor before him knew nothing about real estate, did nothing to help him or support him. And I mean, it was built up. It had been in there for a long time. And I just sat there and took it with a smile. And when he was done, he said, "Is there anything else?" Okay. Is there anything else you want to share with me? Is that all? Okay. Well, then let me share with you what I'm going to commit to do in this relationship. And then I went on to talk about the value that I was going to provide to him that was directly related to the complaints that he had just voiced. And I knew I was in a position to help him with those things. And that's what I saw as my job, was doing those things. And Dick and I ended up being the best of friends. And he was like 85 years old. And we had nothing in common, very little in common, except out of that conversation, he developed a deep respect for me because I heard him out. I didn't take it personally. I didn't respond in kind. And when he was done, I offered to help him, and I did help him. I was in that role for 4 years and served him in many, many ways that he valued. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I can tell you, I was loving it. I was smiling on the inside because I knew if all of that was in there, it had to come out if we were really going to have a good relationship. So the whole time he's venting, I think expecting me to melt in front of him or something, I'm just like, this is so awesome, because I wasn't taking it personally. It had nothing to do with me. This had been built up for years with prior relationships. So there was no way I could take it personally. Now, if I'd been in a relationship with him and then he needed to vent about our relationship, that'd be a little harder not to take personally, but I would take it personally in a good way. I would say, okay, obviously I have failed in my communication or in my expectations of setting appropriate expectations. Let me figure that out and see if we can reset on this relationship. But no, if they had load on you in the beginning, just smile, because you know that could be the foundation of a really, really good relationship going forward. Oh, no, well, it's all in the tone, right? And he knew I was sincere. I wanted to help him. And once he was all done, I asked him, what can I do to help you? What would be the most helpful thing that I could do for you? And we rattled off some things. His agents had no idea what RE/MAX had to offer. They weren't utilizing the tools and the services and the technology and all of that. And I said, well, you know what? I'll drive over here and I'll train them myself. No charge, no cost. Let's put all 200 of them in a room. And I guarantee you, all this complaining that they have about all the fees they're paying, that's going to die down. So it was just that kind of stuff, because I knew I could help it. We just had to clear that out of the way.
How, if you had to break up clients, how would you communicate?
Okay, so the question is, we had to break up with a client, how would we communicate that? I would always do it in their best interest. So I would say, you know, hey, Trina, need to have a hard conversation with you. We've kind of bumped heads several times over the last few weeks, and I think it really has come down to differing expectations. You're expecting me to do some things that I'm really not able to do. I can't deliver on those expectations. And so I really feel like you're going to be better off in the hands of another agent who might be a better fit. I have actually done this multiple times with clients. In fact, one of them is an agent here, Mukesh Singh. I was like the third agent to get his listing. He was before he was an agent. You know, I picked it up from two other agents who had not been able to sell it. I picked it up. Guess what? I couldn't sell it either. But I thought, well, you know what? There's another guy in our office. He's got this huge staff and team and a full-time marketing director, maybe just some new eyes, maybe a new approach, maybe somebody else. So I talked to the agent. I said, would you be willing to take this on? Here's the history. He said, yes. So then I called up Mukesh. We met at the Starbucks up on 242. And I said, hey, I have done everything I can to sell your home, and I'm just out. I don't know what else to do. However, I'm not going to leave you hanging. Got somebody else who's got additional resources, fresh eyes, fresh perspective. If you're willing, let's let him and his team give it a shot. He said, absolutely. 8 months later, that agent sold it. It had been like on the market like 3 years. My screen went off. Oh, I probably timed out. Okay, thank you. I don't know if I can get that back. I can't. Doesn't appear to be. I'm almost done anyway. So let me finish up, and then we'll just put this recording up for everybody. So number 7, be responsive. And this is coming directly out of real life experience of disgruntled clients, your clients, who have called me over the last few weeks to express their frustration with their agent. And quite often it's that they cannot reach the agent. They can't get a return phone call. The agent has essentially ghosted them, which I just can't imagine given the fiduciary responsibility we have. So I'm just going to run through this real quickly. Never leave a client wondering if you got their message. Don't you hate that? You leave a message, you expect a response, you never hear anything. Most people would rather be hated than ignored. Being ignored is like the biggest disrespect you can show anybody. It's like you don't even warrant a response. And I know we don't feel that way about our clients, but that's how it's received when we don't respond to them. Respond to all messages quickly or according to the expectation you and the client agreed upon, but never beyond the end of the current day. If you can't respond fully and immediately, and many times we can't, we're with another client, we're in a situation that demands our full attention, so we can't, at least confirm receipt. Hey, got your message. I should be free in about 2 hours and give you a call back then. Do that if you can. When I get voicemails and I'm in a meeting and I know the person's coming from or the situation, I know it's important, I'll do my text voicemail read, I'll see what it is, and then I'll respond with a text message. Just very easily. I don't have to interrupt the flow of conversation. My wife and I will be at dinner and I'll do this 3 or 4 times in the course of the evening, and she'll never even really know. I mean, she knows, but I don't break the flow. Just really quick, just response so we don't leave people hanging. And here's my favorite one. fact, I had a chance to use this with some of y'all over the weekend. Somebody will ask me a question, voicemail, text message, or even not email, because I'm not checking email, but I'll reply and I'll just say 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And you seem to understand that. I'm tied up, but I'll respond to you in 10 minutes. I'll respond in 30 minutes. And your clients will respect that. It's an acknowledgement. I got it. I'm concerned. I'm going to respond as quickly as I can. And here's the expectation of when you can expect to hear from me. Okay. If your clients aren't talking to you, you can be sure they're talking about you. And it's not good. So be responsive. Don't leave your clients hanging. Stay in touch. That's probably the biggest complaint that I get about agents. And I get them not just from your clients, I get them from the cooperating agent. Hey, I submitted an offer 2 days ago. Haven't even gotten an acknowledgement. Okay? Or the option period's up at 5 o'clock tonight. We submitted our repair amendment yesterday. We haven't even gotten a response, and I've left numerous voicemails and text messages, okay? Even if your seller isn't ready to respond, at least acknowledge receipt and set some expectation. I've got an appointment to talk to the seller about these issues at 2 o'clock tomorrow. I expect to be able to give you their response by 3 p.m., 2 hours ahead of the option deadline, okay? Set some expectations that will lower the stress level for everybody. Number 8. Oops. Number 8. Oh, it's a good one coming. Do what you say you're going to do. And that's not a verbal thing. That's just keep your commitments, because actions speak louder than words. This is all about words, but your actions communicate as well. Do what you say you're going to do. Again, this comes right out of real life. I would never bore you by telling you something so obvious if it wasn't an issue. This is an issue. So if you say you're going to send a CMA today, send it today. Or follow up with the client and tell them why you can't. Hey, my daughter had to go to the hospital unexpectedly. I'm so sorry. I'll get you that CMA tomorrow. If you say you're going to give them a daily update, give them a daily update. If you can't give them a daily update, don't promise it. If you say you're going to call them at 11, doggone it, call them when? 11. If you say 11, call them at 11. Yes, I'm venting. Okay, this is real life stuff. And I know about it because the clients call me. They're so upset they track me down. If you say you're going to challenge the appraisal, challenge the appraisal. Put together some comps. Get the contact information. Send them in. Okay? Don't promise stuff you can't do. But whatever you promise, you need to do. That's simple enough, isn't it? If you do that, my life is going to be much easier. I'll appreciate it. So, all right. I created my first meme. You're looking at it. Isn't that good? Self-portrait too. Thank you, Michelle. That's the response I was waiting for. No, I did make that though. I found a little meme generator when things get ugly. Do things ever get ugly? Yes, they do. They do. It happens. And sometimes through no fault of your own, you're still going to take responsibility. You're still going to work to get that situation in a better place. When that happens, when it gets ugly, and by ugly, I mean your client's really mad, they're cutting off communication, they're threatening to sue. Anybody who says sue, lawyers, legal, I want to be on the hotline. Call me immediately. Assume that you and I will be sued and that everything you do and say will be presented as evidence in court. By the way, that's a general rule of thumb for every professional relationship. Never put anything in an email message that you would not be comfortable hearing read aloud before a jury. Or on a voicemail message. They're going to have that recorded. That's going to show up in court. So always assume that everything that you say to that client in private, just assume an audience of thousands are hearing that. And don't say anything you would be uncomfortable a judge or jury or others hearing. Acknowledge what you did wrong, even if what you did wrong was a failure to establish mutual expectations. Okay? Own your part in it, whatever that is. And if you made an actual mistake, you didn't monitor a deadline, you didn't get that check delivered as you should, you didn't keep a commitment, then own it. And to the extent that you apologize for it, own it, apologize for it, and to the extent that you can, make it right. And if that involves writing a check, write a check. I promise you, buying them a refrigerator is going to be a whole lot cheaper than going to court. Okay? A whole lot cheaper. So if it's your fault, make it go away before we get sued. Cheryl, I didn't mean that personally. Appreciate y'all being here. We're going to be out in 2 minutes anyway. They're just trying to get a head start on the sandwiches. If you can fix it, do. Suggest a positive way forward. Don't stop talking to them. If you get to the point where you say, okay, all future communications are going to be an email, it's bad. I would prefer you keep talking to them, but then summarize and document in a follow-up email. Take good notes and save everything. If communication completely breaks down, let me know and I'll step in. I'll start communicating with them. I had one client, it was a couple, older man and woman, who were taking us to court, and our agent had screwed up. And it had cost them about $5,000. It had cost the client about $5,000 actual dollars. That's, people sue over a lot less than that. And they were going to sue us. So I called them up and I said, you know what? I'd love to find out what went wrong here. Could I just take you out to dinner and let's talk? And I took them out to dinner and we talked and we bonded. At the end of it, they said, well, we were trying to buy this condo on the lake, but we actually have a home to sell in spring. Would you list it for us and then come help us buy a condo on the lake? There was no further talk about a lawsuit ever again. And this was 2.5, 3 years ago. It was right after our company started, because it was like the first big deal that I had to get involved in, okay? So keep the communication lines open, fix it if you can. If you can't, give me a chance. Give me a chance, get me involved, and we'll see where it goes from there. And then if we have to turn it over to the lawyers, we will, okay? That's what I wanted to share with you today. Any questions, comments, objections about what you've heard? What's the most helpful thing that you heard today? What's that? Thank you. That's a huge takeaway. Zachary? Setting mutual expectations. Anybody else? Bob?
Ask good questions and listen.
Okay, there we go. Great, ask great questions and then listen empathetically. Get them to build trust. Yep, absolutely. They'll believe you if they trust you. Ari? Don't leave them hanging. That's right. Okay, guys. So I think we've accomplished everything except for lunch. Do we have lunch, Lisa? Okay, so Trisha's our sponsor. So Trisha, do you want people to grab their food and come back in? Are you going to talk to us or anything? All right, so you guys can have lunch out there. You can have lunch in here, and Trisha will mix and mingle with you.
A lot of times, they're looking at the number, and if you're not looking at the actual product now,